So far, we've covered how to create a basic web page and how to display text and how to display data. But what we haven't talked about is how to get data from someone who visits the web page. The internet being two-way communication, sometimes we want to do that. So the way we do that is via the form tag. Basically, you want to create a web form. So in order to do that, open up Dreamweaver and we'll start a new web page. HTML, create. So here we have, it puts in basically the required tags, the HTML head, body tags. So we want to go into the title, and we'll just change the name to TPS report web form. And then we go to the body. Give us a few lines to work with here. So the first thing we want to do in order to create a form is use the tag, which is called form, the form tag. Type in F, and there it is right there. Defines an HTML form for user input. Now, we need to give it a few attributes. One is the form needs a name. So put in name, and in the quotes, we'll just call it TPS form. Then there are two methods that a form can take. One is get and the other is post. Get retrieves information from a web server. We don't need to retrieve stuff. We want the user to post stuff, post their own stuff. So we put in method here, and the method is post. And then we need to tell it where to post that to, and that is an action. And basically we'll say TPS web server .html. Okay, so that page doesn't exist. We haven't created it, but I just made it up for the sake of illustration here. So we close the form tag, and it of course needs a closing form tag, which Dreamweaver puts in for us automatically. But in between there, of course, we want to do something. So let's save this. Save. It wants us to know where to put it. We want to put it in my website. That's fine. We're going to call it TPS form.html. Save. Okay. Now, if we, as we can see over here, it has nothing in it because we've just told it what the form's name is and what to do with the form and where to send the form, but we haven't really created the form itself. So in order to do that, we need to tell it what kind of a form it is. We want input from the user. So it's an input. It's a multi-purpose element and we want them to, there are several different kinds of inputs, and I'll show you the four basic ones. One is input type equals text. So they'll basically be typing text in, and then we have to give that a name so that any server processing this knows what it is. And so we'll just call it TPS text. And then it has to have a value. So a type, a name, and a value. And the value is what is actually going to what it's going to say, display on the screen. So I'll just write here, enter TPS info here. And we close that, put in a break. Okay. Another input type. Actually, for simplicity, let's just copy this. Don't know what happened there. Copy that. As you can see over here, we already see kind of what the form looks like. And then the next kind of input is, instead of text, it's a button that they can press. So button, of course the button has to have a name, so I'm just going to change that to TPS button. And then the value for that is what it says on the button itself. Click here. Okay. As you can see over here, we have the place where they can enter data and the button that they can press. Okay, the next type of input data you could have is a submit button. So submit, and then we give that a name. We'll call it TPS submit sub, and then the value for that is just enter. It could be anything that's basically a button that says enter, and that will automatically submit the form as soon as they click the button and take them to the next page. And then the last kind of input I want to show you is input type reset. This basically clears the data from your form, and then we'll just call that TPS reset. And for value, we will just say something nice and easy like clear. That should be understandable. So what you have here is a page where they can enter their info and click there, or hit enter and go to the next page, which would be TPS web server.html, which we haven't created. It'll send this data to that, or clear. So let's just preview this in a browser. So basically, they could type in data here and click there, or data here and go enter it and go to the next page, which is going to give us an error because we haven't created that page. Or if they put in data here, oops, messed up, they can clear that and put in the new data. So that's basically what it looks like. That's how you create basically any kind of a form. You see it on Amazon a lot, where like if you have to enter your address, your shipping address or whatever, that's all done by forms. It's one of the most basic things you may be asked to do when you're creating a website. So there we go. We'll be talking a little bit more about forms in the next video.